Well, it looks like everybody's here, and Dolly, we can see your beautiful face. That's a great thing. And we'll call this meeting to order. And just for the record, Robin, I'll tag you in if you would, just to call everybody off and confirm.
Okay, I'll go down my list. John Bowie,
I'm here.
Matt Montgomery,
Here.
Dolly Holland,
Present.
Micah Drake,
Present.
Mike Riley,
Present.
Colin Mosley,
Present.
Robin Richmond, Stacy May,
Present.
Tiffany Reeves. Here. Rolando Thacker.
Here.
Hannah Gregory. Here. Jeremy Hurd.
Here.
Todd Blanton.
Here.
Jennifer Hayes.
Here.
Michael Bushman.
Here.
Kevin Moore.
Here.
And David Dudley.
Here.
All right. Thank you, Robin.
Everyone is here today.
All right. We got a short agenda, but we got some other conversation, but we've got some action items to start with. And that is the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting on February the 1st. It was in your packet. Any discussion or conversation needs to be had about those? If not, we'll look for
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Matt. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dolly. All in favor? Aye, or wave your hand. That action item has been approved. Now, financial reports for February and March. Mr. Collins.
All right. So we've got February and March reports available in here. That's about 4 pages in. In February, our overall budget was 77% expended. And then our admin was at 74%, up from 54% the prior year. Adult expenditures was at 94%, up from 72%. Dislocated worker was at 38%, and then youth was at 91%. And then for our work experience requirement, we were already over that requirement, so we covered that base in February. Anybody has any questions about February, I will be glad to answer.
I noticed we 38% on dislocated worker. That's looking light, or we?
Yeah,
What's
so
the conversation about that?
So my best explanation of that is where our budget was inflated for this year. Most of that dislocated worker has been transferred to adult funding to cover from the where we were underfunded in that area. So that 38% represents a budget figure that we can't reach, basically.
Okay.
So
Do we have concerns about losing parks, pieces, funding, future?
no, what we've actually, so as of today, we've gotten all of our additional funding that we've requested to cover the rest of our year and get us started on fiscal year 24. We received $365,000 in youth funds, in addition to a little bit extra that was that will count against our allocations for next year. So we've got all that we need to finish out this year and get us into next year. Mike, would you have anything to add to that, or?
I was just gonna say, simply put, like Colin was saying, kind of how we discussed in many meetings. Basically, our budget was simply just overstated. We'll never reach the total for that budget. But if you actually look at funds available to us, we're pretty far spent. So basically, that's why we're budgeting to trickle through the rest of this fiscal year. But in terms of this budget, those percentages will look low. But
Okay, overall, we're okay.
overall,
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Any questions from our, yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Well, I mean, so it sounds like we're still on the, like, if I'm just doing the percentage math, you're on the old denominator, not the new denominator. So the new budget would be the new denominator, and you're just using the old denominator, and that's why it's showing these percentages.
Yes.
And this, again, this is
But
the,
by the way, I really like the new chart at the top. That's exactly, that's much more clear. So thank you for that update. That's really nice.
Yes, and so that clearly shows what our projection is for the remainder of this fiscal year, so.
that is something because, you know, we're using this, like you said, the original, because that was the voted on, you know, budget by the board. If that's something that you would like, we can do an amended budget and can actually change that. I'm not sure, you know, whether you think it's worth that effort. That is something that we could do, is actually show, but again, that would have to be voted on by the Leos and the full board.
I think it's just.
No, I mean, I think our goal really is just to understand, are we gonna be in a worse position than we thought we were, you know, from before? I think we've already sort of determined where we are and you've taken the action. And this being May, I mean, I know that this doesn't show April yet because you're still closing the books, but just for a couple months, I don't think it's important. I just want to have some confidence that we're, you know, headed to not be over budget.
Yes, absolutely.
That is not a concern at this point, Matt. We are gonna be under at this point.
And you know, that was the other thought, if we're gonna be under, make sure we don't lose anything for the next fiscal timeframe.
So then, is everyone okay with me running to March? Okay. So after close of business in March, we were at 82% expended on our overall budget. And our admin was at 85%, adult expenses was at 99%. And our dislocated worker was at 40%. And then youth was at 97% expended. And then, of course, we've received a little bit extra youth funds to add to our pools to go into next year.
Any concerns about that from our group out there? So this is March, so we got April, May, June. Well, yeah, June. So.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely see when you guys took action, right? So you're jumping up by 6 and 8% each month, and then it goes to about, you know, 4% in March. So, you know, at 4% for the remainder of 3 months, you're going to be, I mean, it looks like you're right on where your forecast is. So, no, this makes sense.
So we just had February and March, is that correct?
Correct. Okay.
And for that, we're looking to approve the report as shown and as discussed. So look for a motion for that.
Make a motion. Or I'll second it.
Micah and Matt both jumping in, so I'll
Yeah.
call that a,
I'll second Micah's approval.
thank you. So we got a first and a second, all in favor? Aye. So that action item is taken care of. Informational items, update on WIOA budget and staffing problems. So that's probably something we all want to have a good conversation about. And I'm looking for
All right,
our
sir.
interim director.
We can do that. So as far as an update on the WIOA budget, just to let everybody know that, you know, there was the issue of about $392,000 that we were under on what we had available to finish out the payments with Care. We've worked with our partners at the state, and they were able to find recaptured funds to get sent to us. So we actually, this morning, we got the last NFA for the rest of the $392,000 that the state increased our award by. So we will be able to draw that down probably within, what, a week or two, Michael, to get that squared away?
Got a question?
Oh.
See?
I think he's just talking to somebody.
Oh, okay.
He's testifying to something, so.
Oh, I thought he was like.
Yeah, he's testifying to something. So what we have available is, we did get the $392,000 from the state. Michael will be able to pull that, recapture that back into our funds, then we'll make those funds to res care, and we will have everything caught up with them within a couple of weeks. Is that a fair statement?
Yep.
Now, that isn't free money, that is money that we will have to pay back out of our fiscal year 24 money. I did last Friday, I was able to get some planning numbers from the state for budget-wise. We are gonna have a reduced award this year from the state. That's statewide numbers were smaller this year. But that $392,000 will come out of our awards we get this year. So for example, when we get the program year money, the youth money will come in April, or that's when it's released in April. We won't get it probably until May, June. Nothing will come out of that. Nothing will come out of our first allocation that we get for program in July. What they'll do is when we get the big allotments of money in October, the fiscal year money, they'll take out of adult and dislocated worker, and that's where the $400,000 will get repaid, more or less. So that will reduce our award for this upcoming year, which will make things a little tighter. But the good news is 12 months from now, we'll have this completely behind us. We'll be at ground zero. We'll be able to rebuild stronger than we were before, hopefully. So last year, I believe our award for WEO was about $3.6 million. This year, that award's more in the ballpark of $3.3 million. And then when you take out the money that we are repaying to the other areas that was recaptured, that puts us at about $2.8 million this year for an operating budget, which is significantly less than we had last year. However, we will work as hard as we can and diligent as we can to make those dollars stretch. We want to be, fiscally responsible with that. So we're going to be getting a little bit more innovative and creative, find ways to continue to do the services that we do with just not the funding behind it. And that's something that, all the staff are on board with. We know that it's going to be a tight year. We know we're going to have to kind of roll up the sleeves a little bit and make this work. We also, as Colin mentioned, we did get additional youth funding of $365,000, I believe that was. That has been a blessing. So what that's allowed us to do is to hire the TDS positions. So we have a full-time talent development specialist now at Georgetown, one in Lexington, and then we have a staff that splits between Danville and Richmond. So all 4 career centers are covered. Danville, I believe, is covered 2 days a week, Richmond 3 days a week. But we also have OBR staff and other partner staff that are on the 4 career centers as well, so that there's somebody working the front desk. So if somebody comes in and needs services, they can let us know and we can schedule appointments. So everything is covered. As far as staffing, I know the last time we met, things were a little grim. We had, Amy was leaving on the 31st. Rolly was leaving on the 31st. Tiffany was gone. As you can see, they're not figments of your imagination. Tiff and Rolly are back, which makes me a very, very happy person. So we actually have all of our board support staff in place. The youth money did help. So as an example, we'll be billing, like for example, Rolly's time will bill to that youth grant between now and June 30th to help with that, so we can work on these youth projects. I'll be working with Jennifer. We've actually had a few conversations to start looking at making some budget planning numbers for next year. So hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have some tentative budget numbers for you guys to look at and start thinking about.
Can you tell me the youth funding amount again? I didn't catch it.
For the upcoming fiscal year, that'll be $920,000 is what the tentative number that was shot out to us. That's our planning number.
That's 24, is that?
That's
23, 24.
Yeah, it comes in April. It comes a little bit earlier.
So 23, 24. So ending June 24, right?
Yes.
All in all, this sounds like it turned out better than expected. I mean, that the recovered funds, that was more of a hope, I think. So that's really good that worked out. I mean, it is what it is. It sounds like it's, 10 to 15% hit to next year, but it leaves everybody whole at the end of it. So that's a great outcome.
It's where we originally thought this was going to be a 3 to 4 year rebuilding to get us back to, financials where we were kind of good where we were before. Now we're looking at maybe the possibility of 1 year, because what we can do is, this year things will be tough. It'll be tight. We'll be lean on what we can do a little bit this year. However, after this year is over, we will have fully repaid back the recaptured money. Our hope is to withhold a little additional money this year, so we'll have some carryover next year. So the next year we don't start off, waiting on what's coming, but we actually have a little bit in reserves to get us through those couple of months until we get that first payment. Like I said, it will make things tight this year. Last year we enrolled 500 and some odd people. into paid services. You know, this year, that number may look like 50 to 60 as far as paid services. And that can stretch out.
Work experience.
Work experiences, yeah.
You know, Amy and I had a conversation about the work experiences a few months ago. Rolly was, I think, part of that conversation. The 12-month time period, I think, was one thing we talked about reducing. And I think that definitely something we should look at
Absolutely.
hard. That way we can get more people with less time. Because honestly, I know in 2 weeks whether this person's going to stick with it or not. I don't need 12 weeks.
And this year also, you know, last year, we did a lot of work with some of the recovery. We were placing a lot of people in work-based learning, work experiences. And it was just kind of like, as it was happening, and we had all these people come to us needing services. This year, we're gonna have to be very intentional. That'll be the word that staff and everyone alike will probably get tired of hearing me saying is being intentional, but we're gonna have to be very intentional this year with what we do. As far as planning, you know, quarter by quarter, it may be more of this is a cohort we're gonna do in this sector this quarter. So we're gonna identify, look, we're gonna try to enroll 15 people in work-based learning this quarter. You know,
Yeah.
and said that once we hit that 15, we've capped out. And again, that's going to be necessary to allow us to get through this year and also to relook and to rebuild some things. You know, as the great thing was last year we served a lot of people. We did a lot of good stuff. But we also learned a lot of lessons in that process. As things were flying by, we learned a lot. So this year we get a chance to slow it down, implement those changes, put in a structure that keeps it from getting away from us and rebuild it back slowly so that when we do get the money back, we're ready to roll. And we've got a little bit more structure things in place, and we've got mechanisms in place that don't allow us to get ahead of ourselves. So I honestly believe it's going to be a good year. We're going to see, like I said, it's going to be smaller numbers, but I think you're going to see more quality over quantity because we're going to be able to really dedicate the time and the services to the people that we do serve and to make sure that it is good services. You know, to make sure that, for example, the employers we're partnering with are employers that are dedicated to hiring these people,
Right.
not just putting them in 480 hours of free workforce.
I think we were taking advantage of it a little bit.
I think we have, and I think this gives us a chance to really highlight those employers that have done right by our participants and have hired them and given them a chance. So
10% of that same, so 500.
591 last year, yeah, and that was really within 3 quarters. That's not sustainable with any amount of money. Our staff would be the first to jump up and say that's not sustainable. We just got really fortunate that every new initiative we tried worked. Nothing failed. Everything worked. I mean, it's, you know, like, hey, throw it against the wall, see if it does, and it works.
Yeah.
So it was a very successful year, but it also allowed us to see a lot of places we needed to make some changes.
John, can I add a couple color comments on,
Yes,
on the situation? Because it definitely, like Matt said, it definitely turned out, I mean, infinitely better than what we anticipated. So I'm just amazed at how well that's all worked out. And I know that the remaining ruffles you guys will certainly work through. Kind of highlighted from yesterday, we had a conference call with Deputy Commissioner Brindley and Secretary Link. Mike and I did. Michael was on there as well. And for those of you who've been around for 10 years or back in the past, I mean, I don't think that this would have gone as well. I mean,
No.
The difference I think is 10 years ago, probably like anything that took place within the workforce, there's kind of an air of suspicion or like was it a question of like, are they doing it right or whatever. And this time it was more like a recognition that you all have just done some great stuff. I mean, not only from the board, from the staff, from the direct service provider, I mean, recognize across the board that you guys are crushing it. I mean, like crushing it within the state. And so, yes, there was a budget problem. The numbers weren't right. But the things you all did were tremendous and people were served. And so now, it's going to be dialed back a little bit, have correct numbers for FY24. It'll be a little bit less, plans in place to make it all work. But I think there's some of those could be federal grants that we might already be working on. I know Rolly's working on a grant for Bluegrass Army Depot that'll probably come through, maybe with some additional funds. There's Isaiah House. There's different things out there that we're working on. Maybe even some technology grants that can come through. Some of those can fill some of those voids. I really do believe. And I want to point out also that Deputy Commissioner Brindley did mention Equus. Jennifer, just really appreciated your company's willingness to stick in there, even though that there was some funding gaps for a while, and you all had some serious cash flow situations, and you should be commended for really being a true partner and sticking with it to be able to see us through to the end, and we're also thankful that it worked out as good as it did. And then the last thing I mentioned is just, again, we really appreciate Mike stepping in as the interim director and you all allowing him to come back and do that. And we will, we will wait until the right time, John, when you and your board say it's the right time to advertise for a new director. That'll be driven by you guys. And that selection will happen probably sometime in the fall. But I know that there'll be interest in it, because I've already been contacted by people expressing interest in it, and I'm just like, it's not the time. It'll happen later on in the fall, but that'll be driven by you guys, and we're just there to support you along the way.
Yeah, Matt helped out with some directors from our last time to share with us on the executives here as well. Just throwing this out there, I know Mike's got multiple hats, but futuristically, we're talking 6 to 8 months down the road. Can we steal you if we try?
We'll look and see.
We'll look at it. All right. But yeah, I want to add to the good conversation we just had. I've been contacted in the last 6 months, 8 months previous, and was talked about that bluegrass was just the top as far as the all the activities that was going on by other people outside of our conversation. Different people from the state said, "And you guys are just kicking it." So we had a real good light on bluegrass.
And it has been, I know Tiff and I went to another area and basically talked about how we do interviewing skills, how we work with clients. I've had the blessing to go talk to 2 other boards across the state about our transition and transformation program and talk about how that's set up and how we do things here. So we've had at least 3 or 4 other workforce boards across the state that have reached out to find out what we're doing in bluegrass. Yeah. And even on the call that we had yesterday with the secretary and the deputy secretary, we started talking about the way that we work with the schools. And I've actually got a meeting at 2:00 today with the Everybody Counts program to kind of talk about the success we've had working with our high schools, working with the guidance counselors, that they hope that maybe they can replicate that in other parts of the state. So, understand above anything, the EQUA staff, the board support staff, bluegrass is, and I don't just say this because I'm sitting here, but without a doubt, bluegrass is leading the way with workforce services across the state right now. We're doing things that other workforce boards haven't even got to. Whether it be from the virtual reality headsets, nobody else is doing that. The way that we work with the recovery population, with the criminal justice, there are other areas that are doing that, but they will be the first to tell you that they came here to figure out what our staff was doing first. A lot of areas contact us on a daily basis to find out how we're doing what we're doing. So as a board, you all should be, very proud of the work you've done, but it's also the staff that you've put in place to do it.
Absolutely.
And that was one of the key reasons that I wanted to be able to be a part of this during this interim time, is because I know how hard these folks have worked. I know how hard the direct service staff work. I know how hard the board support staff work. Being a part of this team, I just wanted to be a part of this transition to make sure that not only did we not take a step back, but during this downtime we took more steps forward. And I believe we have already. We've Michael's put internal controls in place physically to protect us. The staff have redone policies to protect us in other ways. And, we're starting to assert ourselves as the premier workforce agency in this region, and it's being noticed. So you all have done a phenomenal job with that.
Yeah. And I'll let everybody know I was just at Tenco, Morehead Tenco, right?
Yes, sir.
Certifying their building, last week?
Mm-hmm.
And I was seeing some of their good works that they were doing, and Justin Suttles down there said, "Yeah, we stole that from bluegrass. We stole that idea from bluegrass." All the good things they were doing there, they were mirroring what's going on here. So,
Anybody have any questions about programs or directions?
all right. So we will.
I think we should say though, I all the staff, we appreciate what you guys are doing. I know that this is, closer to you than you face it every day. So, thank you for hanging in there.
Absolutely. I was tickled when I heard that Tiffany and Hannah and Roly was all coming back. I was tickled to death. And then, of course, with Equus, we had Dolly and I was on that next day meeting with them, and they were very gracious and just great to work with them, so. Bad times, good outcomes, as best as can be, I think, so far.
Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so next one is approval of state reserve funding to pay joint training for September.
I believe that might be,
I was just gonna say, at our last meeting, we, you guys voted to do the reevaluation of the strategic plan. So, and EKU was gonna come in and help with that. So, Stacy did a, statewide reserve grant
Mhm.
funding thing, and it got approved.
Awesome.
So that meeting will be free of charge completely. It'll.
Oh, really?
be covered.
So,
Food and everything, so good news.
all right, so we get, what, lobster and steak for?
No, we're definitely on the reduced budget right now.
Okay, so some bologna sandwiches, right?
Lots of lunches.
That's great. And all the planning for that is already taken care of, so we're good to go.
Where's that gonna take place in September?
It's gonna be at the Scholar House in Richmond. It's,
Okay.
Kind of on the edge of the EKU campus.
Okay, good, yeah.
So we're kind of making an effort to go to different regions now, instead of just doing Lexington. We wanna.
Stacy, do we need an official motion and to approve this, or is it just an informational?
That was just an informational item. To submit that had already been approved previously, as well as who the presenters and stuff are going to be and the location. So everything's taken care of. It's just an update.
Okay, I just want to make sure we weren't missing anything we needed.
Good. So now we got Jennifer to talk about our report for March.
Hello, everybody. In the packet, you'll have your March report, and I'll keep it short and simple. I think we've everybody's touched on what we have going on, but so we have a limited staff. It's basically me, Todd, and Kevin, who's all on here, and then we have 2 youth staff. And so our big thing that we're doing right now is maintaining what we currently have. And so what that means for us is that Kevin is taking care of over 500 follow-up falls, and I'm taking care of 233 plus active falls. So we're just digging in and doing what needs to be done to maintain what we currently have going on. And then Todd's busy working with Rolly and Jeremy and that team with VR events and job fairs and everything. So we're truly just maintaining, not building right now. And I think we're doing a fine job at it. Our numbers are still strong. So for the quarter, March ending quarter, we left with 131 positive exits. So that's 131 people that went to work for the quarter. And so that's still a good, strong number. We have 2 youth staff and 1 that's going to be coming on board in the next couple of weeks. And so they're starting to enroll a few participants for work experience for the youth program with the unused money that we regained back. So we're still providing workshops virtual twice a week for anybody that wants to join, resume interview, job prep, etc. We have kept Fridays open for the Richmond Center for the Bluegrass Army Depot individuals that want to come in to do job search or assistance with helping them find other employment options. So we still have a lot of good things going on. And then, of course, Todd, in his report, he'll talk about all of the job fairs and events, which is keeping everybody busy as well. But that's pretty much what we have in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions?
Rolly, did you share that with Jennifer? I don't think that's my thing.
I've been sharing it on social media.
Okay.
I can email it to them.
Yeah, get it to Jennifer and Todd. No questions for Jennifer? Thank you, Jennifer. Todd, you are up, sir.
Good afternoon, morning, I guess it is still here. So in your packet, you'll see the March report. Jennifer kind of gave update about what's going on. So I've been working with Rolly. I was glad to see him come back kind of worried what was going to happen in the meantime, but he just took a brief hiatus and rejoined us after about a week-long internship with the state. So glad to see him get back.
Just a quick work experience. Check it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
So in the March report, just a couple things presented to the UK Job Club with some other workforce organizations, kind of just highlighting what we do for job seekers, how we can help out members of the UK Alumni Job Club. Had some employer meetings and job fair planning meetings. Rolly and I attended the Cynthiana Work Ready community luncheon. Their Work Ready certification is coming back due, so we met with that group to see how we could assist with that. We recorded a business minute in March, Stacy and I, and we'll continue to do those. I think Rolly recorded at least one or two at some of the job fairs we've been to. And then before Amy left, we actually went to the KWIB meeting in March and received our access point certifications for 10 of the public libraries that we got certified last year. So I was actually involved in a meeting that's coming up on May 23rd with some libraries in the Northern Kentucky area, and the KDLA reached out to me since we had so many libraries that were certified, and I'll be presenting to a group up there about the benefits and how to get a library certified as an access point. So I just actually this week looked at a list, and access points with public libraries in the state, we have by far the most. I think that list was about 25 or so long, and we've got 12 of them. So, I mean, we've really done some great work with the libraries. Did reach out to all the public libraries that we had certified when we were looking at the layoff and just let them know, hey, we're not going to be able to have the time in the library each month, but if you need something in the meantime, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Jennifer. We still want to maintain that connection, so I'm still keeping in contact with them just to make sure we keep those relationships with the library strong. And then at the end of the report, you'll see all the different hiring and VR events that we had in March. I'm not going to go through all of them, but pretty busy month in March. And then April was no exception. I think Rolly and I were out every day, but Monday last week at a job fair and event. So we've kept our commitments to all those that we had scheduled. And, we just haven't been really scheduling too many new things other than the VR events that Jeremy's got going, because that's really taken off. So we do have a lot of those that are still going to be scheduled. And then one thing that is not on the report, but since I had everybody here, I'll kind of give everybody an update. So the work is still continuing on the space next to us here in Lexington. Their target date to be completed with the construction so the state can move in was May 1st. I'm actually meeting with some folks from the state at 2:30 today to do a walkthrough. And once that walkthrough is completed, they'll send their Office of Technology in, start pulling the data wire. And then beyond that, the only thing that needs to be done is the carpet put down, the ceiling tiles done, and the final coat of paint. So, I mean, if I'm guessing, first or second week of June, I would imagine that we could be potentially looking at the state moving in and getting everybody back under one roof here in Lexington. So that's some good news. Also in Richmond, we've already been working with the state and kind of in kind extended the invitation for adult ed to kind of move in. Our partners there at Adult Ed in Richmond were operating out of a church basement. And so they didn't really have a good meeting space, didn't have, a lot of access to the public. So we've already kind of come to terms with an agreement with the state about adult ed and OBR moving into Richmond. But kind of as an in-kind gesture, we've told adult ed they could go ahead and start bringing some stuff in. So they've kind of gotten situated. But it looks like before, too long, a couple months max, maybe, we'll have OBR staff and adult ed staff in Richmond, and then OBR staff and CDO staff here in Lexington. So we'll have partner staff at all of our offices now instead of just two standalone WIOA locations. So that's exciting. So with that, I'll submit the report and I'll take any questions if you have them.
Hey Todd, this is David. Just wanted to make sure that you knew that Secretary Link did ask about the status of the Lexington Career Center yesterday, and I think that's a good report that you just provided. I think he's hoping to do some type of ribbon cutting or some type of ceremony.
Like a grand
when
reopening.
you guys are all done. So, maybe think through when that might be, and let us know what we can do to help.
Will do. I'll keep Mike posted. And I think the biggest thing, and I've told Mike and Michael this, is you know, when they take ownership, you know, that's when the utilities will start to increase, the rent will come due. So just making sure we've got everything worked out with the folks at the state to make sure that we're able to start billing them as these things come in. But I'm really thinking mid-June they'll be in here.
Sounds good. We're gonna celebrate with them, right? The champagne. All right. So with that, that is current workforce programs initiatives time.
So there's a lot of good stuff going on, as you've heard. Todd mentioned, as Jennifer mentioned, we're still doing a lot of good work. Just want to highlight some of the things that staff are doing. So I'll kind of put some folks on the spot real quick. Jeremy, can you talk a little bit about like the VR presentations and kind of what some of that's been going on?
Sure. So we've got, like I mentioned, we've been very busy with it. We've gone out to both we went out to the Madison County Library and the Madison County, was it the Ignite School?
Yeah, it's part of Madison County Public Schools.
Okay. We went and did that last week and had some good success there. The Madison County Library actually wants to book us for recurring monthly visits over the summer.
Yes.
So we're going to do that. I've been back in touch with Franklin County again, and they want to, starting next school year, they want us to come out once a month for recurring visits there. Actually, we're going Thursday and Friday of this week to do one final visit with their group for this school year. We've got the BCTC healthcare summer camp coming up in mid-June. That'll be basically 2 weeks of VR, and yeah, things have really taken off. I've got things booked all the way up to September at this point.
Wow.
So that's been really successful. We've actually had we had one of the judges that reached out wanting to do a presentation in their county. So I mean, really, you want to talk about a little bit what we're doing there with Judge Hamilton and kind of what we got planned, and also talk about any other the business stuff going on.
Yeah, they reached out to us late last week, and they wanted us to just put something together really quick. So it's really low key, but we're going to work with their Nicholas County High School there.
Nicholas County.
And we are going to set up a quick little job fair where we're going to have maybe 5 to 10 employers that are coming into the area, and then Jeremy's going to come and bring the VR headsets and present.
When is this going to happen?
Ooh, you put me on the spot here.
May 17th.
Whatever that Wednesday is, Wednesday the 17th,
Yeah.
May 17th. And it'll be from 1 to 5 at their gymnasiums. They're going to let us use their gym. It's going to be open not only to the students, but also some of the public as well. So anybody's welcome to attend. So that one's coming up. That one was kind of like a last minute kind of thing. We kind of squeezed in there, but like Todd mentioned, I won't go to every single one of them. We've all chipped in. Everybody's kind of been pulled left and right to take care of these events, especially, you're looking at what, I don't know, like 7 or 8 staff members were doing at the time, and we're kind of condensing it to what we're doing here. So we're all kind of splitting our time, trying to make sure they're all taken care of. So, and then we also obviously have the Bluegrass Army stuff that's coming up. So obviously everybody's chipping in on that as well. We're trying to make sure that those 1,500 people that are eventually going to be getting laid off, that they're being served as well.
That's in the Richmond area.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Bluegrass Cap, we're also going to be doing Microsoft and Office training classes with the people that have signed up and requested it. So.
Yeah, so the Equa staff is providing the resume workshops, and actually the one that they mentioned, Allie, she's covering the Richmond and Danville office. She's going to be going in there doing kind of like an informational session for them, tips, kind of like what we do with the Access program, and then. Like Todd, I think it was either Todd or Jennifer mentioned that every Friday the Richmond office is open where they can go in there and do resumes. They also offer the virtual resume workshops as well, so they're doing that as well.
When is the ultimate layoff?
Starting in September, and it's going to be in waves. So starting September, you're looking at anywhere between 100 to 150 people starting getting laid off, and then about every 3 to 6 months after that, you're going to start seeing another wave and so forth. And that'll affect the contractors. So you're looking at like Bechtel, Parsons, Minimum. Those individuals are the ones that are laying off. And then you also have another group, so there's several groups that are involved in this. Then you have another group that's the chemical agent. Theirs is gonna be a little bit more long-term. There's a 2-step process, David, correct me if I'm wrong. So they'll destroy the rock, or they'll destroy the chemical, and then they'll come back and destroy the rockets, which that's kind of like a long-term process. I think they're probably gonna be one of the last ones out. And then you have your security guards, there's about 100 of those. But that last two groups will be the last to go, that your contractors will be the first ones to go.
I mean, also, we work on a Bright program with the jails. Stacy, would you or Robin, either one, like to kind of update where we are with that project? With the pads?
Sure. The grant is written. We have been working on getting support to go along with it. We've gotten, I believe, Robin, just to make sure, 3 or 4 letters of support from recovery houses. And we're now working on going out. We have a tablet that Robin was able to get for us to demo to the local jails. So we've began scheduling with jails that will agree to see us so we can demo the tablet to them and hopefully get them on board and get letters of support from them so we can get that submitted. But that's the only thing we're waiting on for that.
We're actually visiting Fayette County Detention Center with the tablets tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
To show it to them. It's a really great program with lots of recovery, self-help, and then education and training. So we're hoping that we get these supports and get everything, get it approved.
I know Hannah's continued with the monitoring. That's kind of rolling along.
Going well. State monitoring starts on the 15th, so we'll be busy with that and just plugging along.
I know Tiff's been working with a lot of partners on, like, we've done interview training. I know you're still touching base with, like, help me in Scott County, Transform Scott.
Transform Scott and some of those partners, yeah.
Yep. So everybody's, we're still kicking. We're still moving a lot and staying busy.
Yeah, I like it.
I have something to add.
Yes, ma'am.
For the BGWIB meetings, we're going to have a guest going forward. So for the next meeting, we're going to start with the county executives and have each one of them highlight their county.
Yeah.
So for our meeting that's coming up in June, Judge Gritton from Anderson County
Yeah.
will be, I'm not sure if he'll join by Zoom or if he'll come here, but then he's going to present what's going on in his county. So it's a good way for you guys to kind of get together.
You gonna put every one of them on the spot?
Oh, yeah.
Love it. I love it.
But I did give them a little out and I said, if they're not able to be here, then they could just let us, we can present information for them, but I think they're all.
I think that's gonna, kind of put some glue to them and us together, I think. Yeah, I like that. Any additional comments or discussions? Everybody's quiet. But I've talked to Rolly a couple times during this meeting, but Amtech has my personal company, a hiring event come June. So if you guys got any 18 or older people that wants to be electricians or technicians, low voltage technicians, whatever, fire alarm technicians, we're having a hiring event. We're doing a 4-week training. So Rolly's got the information.
I just sent it to them.
Okay, so if you guys know anybody, especially graduating people, that'd be great. But
And it's been advertised on our social media and also my LinkedIn too. So
yeah.
If you guys don't follow our Facebook page, it's KCC Bluegrass. Welcome to follow it, like it, share it, distribute it. Just don't write nothing negative on it, I guess.
Yeah.
John,
Yes.
would you have the opportunity to sit down with Todd and I and record a short business minute promoting the job fair that you have coming up?
I'm not sure when, but I'll be happy to do so.
We can do it by Zoom and it normally doesn't take more than 10 minutes.
Zoom, yes, we can figure something out. I'll be traveling
Okay.
tomorrow though.
Okay.
Just hang with me, we'll get something scheduled.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
And Stacy, we could do, Micah, we could do that with you, and Dolly and anybody else who wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, anybody who has companies that are hiring, we would love to sit down with you. And like I said, it only takes about 10 minutes because I end up editing out and it's usually only about 2 to 3 minutes long in the end. But we just highlight the company and then talk a little bit about the positions that you have available.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And Stacy, we also have,
I've got time, you know, in the next little while. If you all are available, we can knock it out.
I'm traveling. As soon as I get out of this meeting, I gotta travel, so.
You let me know, John, and we'll work on your schedule.
Okay.
and Stacy, did we have a couple of like informational things for like appointments that we were going to share that you had? Was that for this meeting or am I mixing my meetings up?
I can go ahead and let them know just so they'll be aware for the next meeting. I believe it was mentioned during the last meeting that Margaret Downs, she's retiring from her position in June, but they have hired a replacement, and her replacement has now been appointed to the board. Her name is Stacy Thurman, so I'm super excited to have another Stacy around because we're good people. And so her first meeting will be in June, and we've gotten all her approvals back, so we're good there.
Thank you. I believe that might be it.
Are we good on all other sectors as far as workforce board members? Are we where we need to be?
Our board is full currently.
Good, awesome.
I would like to let you guys know, since it is the executive committee, we received no nominations of other people to appoint. So just be aware of that for the elections that will be coming up during the full board meeting.
And that's next month, right? The full board meeting?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. You guys have anything to add out there in the virtual land for us? Well, with that,
For some reason they renewed me, so you're stuck with me another 3 years.
3 years. Don't worry, we'll just keep repeating that.
It was fine, a blink of an eye.
As I've told you guys before, that I've got in my other board, I've got a guy, I think he's probably in his later 70s. He's been the board chair for like 30 some years, and they just keep re-upping him. And some of the other people on my other board, they're just been there for decades and decades and decades. So, all right. With that, we'll get a motion to adjourn. Anybody out there?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Matt. And a second.
I'll-
And Mike has got that. And I do appreciate everybody showing up on Zoom or physically. And we'll be in touch coming up in June, if not sooner. Thank you, guys.
You guys, thank you.
Thanks, John.